I'm going to be recreating this look and also debunking some of the myths around MAC and its animal testing status. A few days ago, I was asked to recreate this MAC new folio lip launch using vegan, cruelty-free and non-toxic products. Since then, I've posted that this is a cruelty-free version of MAC folio, and every time I say anything about MAC not being cruelty-free, people come out of the woodworks to argue. Basically, if a brand sells in China, majority of the time, except for one loophole, your products will automatically be tested on animals. This is just a law that they have, and it's been that way for a long time, despite efforts to get rid of that law. A lot of the time when I do tell people that MAC test on animals, their response is, well, it's not their fault, that's the Chinese government's fault. So let me tell you the first way MAC are gaslighting you about their cruelty-free status. Number one, there is a way that brands can sell in China and still remain cruelty-free, and this is through the Leaping Bunny China program. There are a few brands on this program currently. I don't know very much about it, but I'm going to guess it costs money and it's a lot of paperwork for a brand to do. So this program exists and a brand can still sell in China and bypass those animal tests and remain cruelty-free. The second way MAC could be cruelty-free is to bypass the Chinese market, but they don't want to do that because it's a billion-dollar industry and they're choosing money over morals. There are so many big brands that give up that massive slice of the pie to remain cruelty-free. Think of big brands that are still cruelty-free like Tarte, Too Faced, Urban Decay. There is a place for them in that market, but they choose morals over money and remain cruelty-free. So let me just quickly break that down for you again. MAC could be cruelty-free if they, one, did the Leaping Bunny China program, or two, decided to stop selling in China like many of their other huge rivals have chosen. MAC do not have to test on animals. MAC do not have to sell in China. The thing that annoys me the most about them is that they do gaslight everybody by saying that they are cruelty-free, but there is one small fine print on their website that says when required by law. Brands like MAC, Makeup Forever, NARS and Benefit, they all seem like they should be cruelty-free brands, but they're not because they choose to sell in China. And the worst one out of all of those is definitely NARS, because they were cruelty-free I think up until 2018, but then they decided to start selling in the Chinese market, and therefore they are no longer a cruelty-free brand. The real kicker about MAC is that before they were sold out to Estee Lauder, they really truly used to be a brand that chose morals over money. I mean, back in the day, there used to be a MAC necklace that literally said cruelty-free on it. It was one of their brand pillars. But ever since they've sold to a massive corporation like Estee Lauder, they don't care about animals anymore. It's all about profit. I need to preface that I am not in any way blaming the laws in China. I want brands to be held accountable to stop using this as an excuse and either do the Leaping Bunny program or stop selling in this market. Now, it's certainly no secret that MAC are having a little bit of a mini moment. I feel like MAC haven't really been cool since like 2010. Recently, they've been getting a lot of hype online, especially now with their new campaign with the super cool Julia Fox. I'm not gonna lie, I've been quite disappointed because I've been seeing some people that I know used to prioritize cruelty-free beauty jumping on the MAC train, and it's really disappointing to me because MAC still test on animals. If you think a lipstick is more important than an animal's life, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Nothing else needs to be said more than that. If you are a small creator, I would be putting my time and energy into brands that you can actually connect with on a smaller level rather than these huge corporations that really don't give a shit about you. Obviously, most of the indie brands that are cool right now are all cruelty free. The reason being is because there's not really a huge market for them in China. You have to be a pretty massive brand to make it in that market. I want to give props to brands like Urban Decay, Too Faced, Tarte, NYX, ELF, that haven't sold out and haven't given in and have remained their cruelty-free status by not selling in that market. Just the fact that these big brands will say no to this market just solidifies the fact that MAC should be doing better. So the next time that you blame the government laws rather than the brands who choose money over morals for selling in that market, think about all those brands that do forego the market to maintain their cruelty-free status. In this scenario, would you rather put your money towards a brand that has integrity? I'm sure I'm going to get a few people saying that the Chinese law was changed a few years ago. But the truth of that is that it was slightly changed, but third-party testing still happens when brands decide to sell in China. I know I'm still definitely going to get some feedback about this video, but if you need to know more information, there are really good resources online, and that is Ethical Elephant, Cruelty Free Kitty, and Logical Harmony. They all in their own way explain how this animal testing law works, and they are extremely knowledgeable and passionate about this topic of conversation. So at the end of the day, are you going to choose a brand that has integrity, or are you going to choose a brand that only cares about how much money they make? And just to add in, it's not just rats and mice that are tested on us. I love rats and mice and I don't want them to get hurt, but I know people catch more feels for puppy dogs, kitties, hamsters, guinea pigs, and pigs, and they are all used for animal testing. So if you wouldn't let that happen to your cat or dog at home, why would you let it happen to any other animal? Truly ask yourself, do you think a lipstick is more important than an animal's life, a sentient being's life? It's just a lipstick.